would you agree that jealousy is a petty human emotion? And if you do agree to this, then why did Jehovah in the scriptures say, I am a jealous God? How? If you're the most high, you can't be jealous of anything. You can't feel jealousy because you're the most high God. Jehovah is real, and he was the Yahweh for the last 25,000 years. This is true, but he is not the most high. He was killing people, a bloodthirsty warrior, a man like David who killed more people than anyone else in the Bible was a man after this particular God's own heart. Won't you pay attention to that? Even when it came down to church services, Moses was throwing blood on people in the temple, gutting animals at the pulpit. How do you feel about this? Because we still, or those that are still caught in the MK Ultra religious matrix, are still singing songs to this God and still wanting salvation to this God. And the story just gets uglier and uglier and uglier if you can look past all of the religiosity. It says later on, he has a son, his only begotten son, right? Jesus, left him on the cross saying, Daddy, Daddy, my God, why have you forsaken me? And did he get an answer? No. And even if the mission is to send your only begotten son to save the whole world, as parents, let me ask you this. Do you love the prisoners in the jail enough to send your little baby to death row? Would you do that for people who don't even respect you, let alone know you? Would you even do that as a human? So why would you do that as a God? And don't let these country club people tell you, oh, the wisdom is too high for you. You shouldn't investigate this. These are things that you should not talk about. Yeah, you should talk about these things. You have a mind. And as long as you're breathing, you deserve to know the truth, no matter how ugly that truth is. You're a human being. You're the first and last you that there will ever be. Why keep you in the dark? And didn't that very same God, Jehovah, tell Isaiah, I think in the 62nd chapter of Isaiah, that I, the Lord, send both good and evil? I, the Lord, do these things? Now, the average quote unquote believer either doesn't know this or just looks right past it and says, God's all right. Wait, that ain't all right. Because if you're saying he the one that sends evil, then what is Satan's role? What is Lucifer's role? What is the purpose of the demons? If the Lord is the one sending good and evil, are y'all paying attention? Do y'all know what y'all reading? Christians, saints? Did you see all of the killing that was happening? Just stand back, step outside the church for a second and just think about this. Are you going to join an organization that has that much killing involved in it? I mean, even the military gets a package. You don't get a package. You get a chance to give. That's what you get. A chance to serve. It's always about serving and giving inside the four walls. And every now and then you might pass out some t-shirts, some bottled water, mail some sandals off, mail a couple of toiletries off to a few, and that's good. That's well and good. That's more holy than all of that other stuff y'all doing in here. And that lowercase cross, that T, that cross, that's not what y'all think it is either. That's Tammuz. That's Tammuz. In that day, the crosses weren't even shaped like that. It was an X. And we're not talking about the X that they used to lean on the side and put the cross on the globe showing religious domination either. I'm not talking about that. It was literally an X. But y'all made it a lowercase t because just like the Old Testament was talking about with the prophets bowing down facing the east, and you had people in the temple weeping to the god Tammuz up at the front. That's what they're talking about. They're talking about people crying and weeping because these were offerings of grief. Depression is one of the offerings that this Yahweh triad was receiving. That's another one. And here's other evidence that other gods were involved in the very scriptures themselves. Later on in the Psalms, you come across a passage that says, I don't require blood from bulls and goats and lambs and rams. Who told you to do these things? Google everything I'm saying. I promise you it's in the Bible. The same, but what about Deuteronomy, Numbers, Leviticus, what about all of those instructions to cut up all of those animals? Who is telling them to do that? You see? But then later on in the Psalms, God says, no, the blood of bulls and goats I do not require. So who told them that? Who told them? Because whoever did tell them that was claiming to be God too. And I saw something else in the comments that is also true. No one has ever seen God. Absolutely true. I agree 100%. However, how is Moses speaking face to face with God when God descended and he never saw God face to face? So you're saying Jesus never saw God face to face? The 24 elders, they never seen God? They're sitting around the throne of someone they can't even see? That's what you're telling me? When they say that there was a man made out of gemstones, you seen it in Revelation. Don't challenge me on this Bible stuff. I know it too well. When they talk about the lamb standing up and walking over and handing the scroll over to the one sitting on the throne, how is that one not seen if you're being allowed to see it right there? Don't play around with this thing. Don't think you can just jump on here and start quoting scriptures and be righteous when you're not breaking them down.